All right, thank you everybody. Welcome to the May 10th meeting of the Jefferson County Board of Education. The board started the meeting at 4 p.m. when we had a work session on the tentative budget for fiscal year 2016-2017. We then continued at 5 p.m. with a work session on safe crisis management progress report, also known as seclusions and restraints. We then had dinner with the Superintendent's Student Advisory Council, and no action was taken at any of these events. I'd like to start the meeting with a short statement that I believe expresses the sense of the board. I hope it does. 2 weeks ago, members of the Jefferson County Board of Education met in work sessions to discuss the Code of Conduct and the recent salary study. The 2 weeks since then have been difficult for our JCPS community, and my goal here is to just say a few words about the board's perspective as our meeting begins tonight. My fellow board members and I are distressed that our work sessions have left so many teachers feeling disrespected and undervalued, because nothing could be further from the truth of our feelings. We treasure our teachers and their commitment to the students in our district. We understand how hard they work and that the conditions in schools are often challenging. We know that a great teacher is worth his or her weight in gold, and while we are not able to pay them according to that insight, we intend to maintain a competitive salary structure. And we know that our system of discipline must be improved. Over the last 2 weeks, we've heard from hundreds of teachers, perhaps thousands collectively, and other citizens, many students. And we understand the unhappiness with how JCPS has communicated on these topics. But the board collectively took up these topics, Code of Conduct and the salary study, for important reasons. And it's no good pretending that this work could be easy, or in taking refuge in calling each other names or blaming our problems on bad communication. Every member of this board ran for and was elected to our offices because we believe our schools must improve. We're not content with the academic results, which suggest that only half of our kids are graduating ready for their future. We're not content with school climate or discipline, where teachers are telling us regularly of eroding standards of student behavior, even as suspensions rise across the district. And we're not content with the one-size-fits-all environments imposed by standardized testing, even as we value the insights that this uniform data gives us into gaps within and between our schools. And finally, we're not content with the equity delivered by our schools, with neighborhood, family income, race, and other factors correlating so highly with student learning. You all will recall that the board spent the bulk of 2015 deeply consulting with and engaged with the community, with national experts, with the Teachers Association, and with other internal stakeholders on how to improve. These consultations are reflected in our strategy called Vision 2020, which calls for significant and deep changes so that JCPS delivers deeper and more personalized learning beyond what's measured in today's bubble tests. Successful investment in building the capacity of our teachers and principals so they can teach and lead today's youth. Staffing our schools and coordinating other services that overcome the social factors that impede so many of our students or cause them to disrupt their classmates, including putting more psychological and behavioral supports in our schools. And there's a lot more in the strategy. But the point for tonight's purposes is this board has asked Dr. Hargens and our district leaders to drive change, and we expect them to propose it. We said we're not content with student behavior, then we've got to be willing to hear and debate new ideas about how to change it. And that's what was going on in the Code of Conduct meeting 2 weeks ago. We've demanded changes that we know are going to cost money. So as a board, we have to be, and we are open to hearing ideas about where to find it. That's part of what was going on in the salary study work session. This elected board was united in the adoption of the strategy, and we're united in asking the superintendent to take on these hard issues. We understand that this is going to be messy, and I guess we would ask the community to understand that it's going to be messy because there's no blueprint. Which big urban school district in America should be our role model? Is there a big city system that has figured all this out? I would say we don't know of it if it is. We have to take on these hard problems and demand that Dr. Hargens and her colleagues bring us solutions. Also, while we wish that all the people up here spoke always with the tongues of angels, we know that we, like the rest of the district's leadership, are busy people, and we don't always find the right words. Sometimes we clang like noisy gongs, and unfortunately, that's going to happen when we take on these hard problems. So the point, I guess, is that the board respects the concerns of our teachers and regrets the disruption, but we're united behind Vision 2020, which we believe represents the community's call to improve Louisville's schools. And we expect continued focus and tenacity in finding and funding ways to improve. There's one final part. This hard work is made even harder when professionals who help shape public opinion don't share their knowledge of the issues at hand. I've said before how grateful this board is for the small number of media outlets that still fund full-time paid professional reporters to cover education in Louisville. I'm still grateful for that. But just as I praise good reporting, when it shines a light beneath rocks that need to have light shone under them, I want to express my disappointment with the quality of reporting over the last 2 weeks. The reporters who sit through every board meeting and work session have a deeper understanding of the board's work than our teachers and citizens can have. They know, for example, that the board sets its own agenda, a subject on which I think we've bored everybody who comes regularly to the meetings quite a bit. We've spoken at this at length. And they know that interim reports and recommendations from community committees don't lead automatically to board action. They know that JCPS is party to union contracts, and that thoughts about salary are subject to negotiation, not board fiat. In short, they know there's a difference between the sausage factory of work sessions and formal recommendations to the board. And yet, both reporting and silence over the past 2 weeks have frightened our teachers and enraged our community by creating the impression that action was imminent to cut salaries and weaken standards for behavior and discipline. This was never the case, and I ask our colleagues in the Fourth Estate to think not just of likes and followers and retweets, but of the community they serve. That's the end of my introductory remarks, and we will now move to our traditional moment of silence. Let's now please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Chuck Hadaway will now read our vision statement.
All Jefferson County Public School students graduate prepared, empowered, and inspired to reach their full potential and contribute as thoughtful, responsible citizens of our diverse, shared world.
Thank you, Mr. Hadaway. Next, it's my pleasure to introduce Terry Robinson to lead us in recognitions and resolutions.
Thank you. Dr. Hargens, Board Chair David Jones Jr., and members of the Jefferson County Board of Education. This evening, we have the honor of receiving a student demonstration of learning from the Superintendent Student Advisory Council. The purpose of the group is to provide the superintendent and her senior staff with feedback on ways the district can improve students' overall experience. Tonight, we have 4 teams and 2 individuals from the Superintendent Student Advisory Council. They will give a brief presentation about bullying prevention. Our first person to present is Eric Dietrich. He's an Atherton High School student. Will you please come forward to begin your presentation?
Hello, my name is Eric Dietrich, and my group mates were Hannah Sutherland and Jonathan Freck. They were not able to make this meeting, but they certainly participated in the creative process and legwork going into this presentation. First of all, our idea is stop the bullying. Pretty simple, right? So what is bullying? Bullying is when a person is being repetitively harassed, intimidated, disrespected, embarrassed, targeted, tormented, made fun of, or maliciously manipulated by others. Essentially, bullying is a broad subject, and it can affect a lot of people. And what I want to convey with this slide is that it's not a narrow definition. There can be a lot of forms of bullying, and with more technology, there can be a lot of methods by which that is carried out as well. How does bullying impact students? It can contribute and cause feelings of inferiority, low self-esteem, and depression, and widens the rift between students, continuing the cycle. Essentially, bullying can have some real long-term impacts on people, and that is why we should be so we should be so concerned with solving it, because it can affect people long past their educational life. So, our solution to the problem is stop the bullying. First of all, you see it, you say it. The prevention of bullying is a team sport, and to prevent it, we need to be aware if we're enabling bullies by letting it slip by unchallenged. My proposal to solve this is tip boxes and bullying hotlines that work to encourage students to speak out without the peer-to-peer repercussions that sometimes happen with speaking out. Next, talk about it. Bullying is the symptom, but not understanding how to deal with those different than you is the cause. Having a short class where students are encouraged to discuss their differences and gain mutual understanding to mitigate that misguided emotion that is bullying can stop bullying before it goes into the classroom and affects people negatively. Next, one community. We believe, my group members and I, that uniting against bullying is key to counteracting it. To stop bullying, we need to create a culture that is counteractive to the culture of bullying. Having a field day just once a year and encouraging students to work together beyond their immediate friend group develops a sense of community that stops bullying in its tracks and encourage people to work together and feel connected to their fellow students to speak out for that. Finally, please don't be complacent. Bullying can have effects leading far into adulthood, and for that reason, we should never be satisfied with anything less than nothing. Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Our next group will be Brown School student Evan Thompson, ESL Newcomer Academy student Jerome Rahumusa, and Academy at Shawnee student Milan Bailey. Please come forward to begin your presentation.
Hello, my name is Milan Bailey, and I am the student representative for the Academy at Shawnee, and I am here to discuss the problem of bullying. Bullying can be defined as the discrimination or harassment against a group or set individual. Bullying is an existing and continuous problem in schools. Bullying is very diverse, and no one is safe from the effects of it. Bullying comes in many different forms, such as verbal, physical, and cyber. Within the parameters for physical bullying, sexual harassment and abuse are included, as this is targeted against a set individual. The problem occurs primarily in schools between students, even targeting students with special needs.
All right. Hello, my name is Evan Thompson, and I'm the student representative of the Brown School. I'm here to discuss the effects of bullying. When bullying occurs, students can often feel alone or isolated, regardless of the type or the media in which it's conveyed. From physical bullying, the victim can often be left physically scarred with bruises, cuts, and sores, and with mental bullying, they can be left with the same sort of trauma going deep into their adulthood, as the Atherton representative Eric Dietrich said. And like physical bullying, sexual harassment can leave the victim feeling stressed, depressed, or alone. And what we can do with this is to solve the problem of bullying, we should implement student group therapy or tip boxes. This student group therapy has been used previously in Just Between Teens, a JCPS-based program in which the administrator would talk to the group and explain how serious bullying is. This group would include past victims, former bullies, and anyone who felt compelled to speak at said events. And it would be really just group counseling to better comprehend how bullying is in their set student environment. And with tip boxes, this could be set locations spread throughout the school in which anonymous students or even named students could drop off notes to the said counselor if they can't get to them to a certain day due to scheduling, to tell them how they felt or if there was a serious problem that they needed to talk about or they were restricted so that they couldn't speak to them in person.
Hi, I'm Jerome. I'm from Eastern Unicum Academic, and we hope for the future by holding the students to speak at the group's season. A great weakness will be protected with the groups. We hope that this meeting can change the protection on the problem that is. We hope that this meeting change the protection on the problem that is bullying and rise great weakness. With the opening of the type boxes, schools counselor will have a nice time hearing that voice of the student body who may be too scared to speak about